Hi, guys. Welcome to the How I Raised It podcast, the show where we get an inside, unfiltered look at how real entrepreneurs and VCs raise capital for their businesses. I'm your host, Nathan Beckert, and today's episode is with Rene Hansen of Xshore. Xshore is a Swedish boat builder creating the future of electric boats, kind of like the Tesla for power boats. He talks about building a startup in Scandinavia, raising capital from Nordic investors, including banks, angels, and much more. If you're tuning into this podcast to learn how to raise capital for your business, be sure to check out Foundersuite.com if you're a startup, or Fundingstack.com if you're a VC or advisor, to get an awesome collection of tools for raising capital. It includes a massive investor database, a CRM to manage your raise, a virtual data room to run due diligence, plus pitch deck hosting, investor updates, email tools, and much more. Last but not least, if you enjoy this conversation and think someone else would too, please share it with them and hit that subscribe button to get all our latest episodes. Thank you. Now sit back and enjoy this chat with Rene.
Welcome to How I Raised It, the podcast that goes behind the scenes with entrepreneurs who've raised capital. We uncover the tips, tricks, and techniques they use to get investors to write a check. Strap in and turn it up.
Hi, welcome to another episode of How I Raised It, produced by Foundersuite and Fundingstack.com. Today I have Rene Hansen of Xshore coming to us from Stockholm, Sweden. How's your day going?
Nathan, it's finally summer has come to Stockholm, and the frozen tundra that we feel have been there for now 6 months, and the Valley of Darkness, we're coming out of it, and we're very happy to get our electrical boats on the water right now and start enjoying them.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure summer in Sweden is amazing. And probably feels even better when you've earned it, right? Going through a Swedish winter.
Yeah, you feel like you're definitely sitting and dreaming about it and looking into your crystal ball and hoping that it will come a little bit quicker than usual. But this one was a long one. But as you said, Nathan, it is what also make it more tasty when you first get the first bite of it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's jump into it. You guys are doing some cool stuff. So what is Xshore?
Yeah, so Xshore, I guess, is a lot of people look at us maybe as a boat company, but the reality is that the company is more of a technology company, and the pillar that it was built on was really technology, seamless technology, functional design, and sustainable performance. And by the way, we are building boats, and the reason why we ended up building boats was that our founder had a very close relationship with nature. He first created the fastest growing startup in Sweden's history ever, which is called Sound Industry. And it's actually grew faster than Spotify and IKEA and H&M. And after he sold that company, he said that, he's been a boater his whole time. He's surfing, windsurfing, and he didn't feel that the boating experience was one with nature. So he created a company where the mission is to become one with nature through boating. And the closest thing you can do today is, of course, sailing, but not everyone can sail, and it's not as welcoming for everyone because it's a lot of hard work and you need to know it. But with a motorboat, you can do it, and then it's electric. That means that 30% of the gasoline doesn't go directly in the waterways, which we love. Usually on a traditional boat, it is 70 to 80 decibel of noise pollution, which is the same thing as damaging your ears, which is also very damaging to the nature we surround ourselves. And also the boating experience is also a very nature close experience. And being able to be on the water, it should be a social experience. You should be able to talk to each other, listen to music, but also at the same time not feel that you're destroying what you love, which is the water and the nature you're in.
Yeah, that's interesting. I get that. It's funny. I'm a sailor. I've been sailing for many, many years. My wife and I sailed halfway around the world, and I love it, right? And it's part of being in that groove with nature. And of course, there's always been this like sort of rivalry when we think of, like, we call them stink pots, right? We call motorboaters stink pots because they're loud, they're smelly. And so we kind of look down our noses at them as a sailor, right? But what you're proposing is almost a reinvention of the power boat, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, very interesting.
Oh, you're completely right, Nathan. And what we're seeing is like that's the reason why what we are looking at the boating experience, the motorboating experience, that we're reframing it. We are allowing people to have a sailing experience, but at the same time have a motorboat performance experience. And the difference that you see, to your point, when you call them the smelly pots, I haven't heard that expression before, but the reality is that what we see now when people come on this boat, and it's also introducing new people to boats because now they feel that it's a sustainable alternative out there, is that they also drive slower, because it's not about getting from A to B fast because you can't talk or listen to music. It is actually like sailing without the work. You can actually go slow because also the journey is a part of the experience traveling through nature.
That's interesting, yeah. And I can imagine, especially in beautiful places like Norwegian fjords and places like that, getting into nature, being quiet. Random question: can whales hear these boats coming? Because you're going pretty fast in this boat, even if you're going slower than full throttle.
It is a whole different experience, and actually a lot of universities in the US, not without mentioning names, are purchasing our boat for actually research now on whales and seals, coral reefs, because again, it's strange to be studying nature to protect it and nurture it, and then have a combustion boat where 30% of your gasoline goes straight in the water and scare away the animals that you should be actually studying. Yeah. So we see that, and if you actually go on my LinkedIn profile, Rene Hansen on LinkedIn, you will see several videos where actually the seals and the whales are coming up to our boats and are following our boats because they are not disturbing them or scaring them. They're actually more of a magnet, pulling them towards the boat.
Because you're not scaring them off. Can he hear you coming though? Because I imagine like there's a risk if you're.
They can hear us coming. So it's not the issue that we saw with electrical cars in the beginning, where you came around the corner and you were used to hearing a big combustion Ford 150 come around the corner, so you stopped. But when you heard an electrical car in the beginning, it was like a bicycle, and people got hit. So you have now sound on the electrical cars so that you can hear them. It's not only for that it's a cool sound like from Star Wars. Right. We have a natural sound, but the whole technology that we are building compared to those other electrical boat companies is that the whole thing is about the power of silence. So everything we build, from the hull to the drivetrain to the gearbox to any component that we're using in the boat, is about being quiet, so we can be one with nature. But they will hear us because the propeller will come, but it will not be an engine sound. So it will be more like a zooming, just like you hear on an electrical car.
So speaking of technology, that was one of my questions, is like, what exactly are you guys building? Is it the hull? Is it the motor? Is it how these things all fit together? What part is kind of proprietary, or the magic sauce that you guys have come up with?
Yeah, I will. It's a couple of things I can break down. We have a very similar view. I wouldn't say necessarily as Elon Musk himself, but as Tesla, where we believe that the technology is happening so quickly and moving so fast that we are not trying to control the technology at all. And we work with anyone that we believe will progress the transformation from combustion over to electric as soon as possible. The secret sauce with us is that we are the only company in the world that has produced electrical boats, and I will go into the detail and break that down, for 4 years in 3 regions. And as you know, as a sailor, it is no tougher environment to test boats than on the water. And that with that comes a lot of mistakes, and it comes a lot of learnings. Then also we are the only one in the world that has a blueprint assembly line production of boats with a green stamp, Xshore green stamps, which means that we are the only fully sustainable factory. That means that when we get to a certain level and scale, not only will we produce the most consistent quality, we also means that all our builders doesn't need to be expert boat builders, because everything is set up in our ERP, and the engineers that design everything. So it's built on an assembly line on 2 modulars, kind of like Tesla has done it. And at the same time, we build our pre-preg production internally ourselves. So it will be like an American Cup boat, which you are familiar with. And weight is very important when you travel with the friction through the water, as you know. And also with electricity, you also need to be very mindful of that, so you make the most efficient boats possible to travel through the water. And since we're doing that ourselves and we have the most modern technology in our factory, we have reduced the cost of actually producing these boats with 40% the pre-preg in our factory. And the reason why is because we're doing it ourselves, we're doing it in the most modern technology, and we do it in assembly line. When we put the boats together to assembly them, that is also an assembly line. So it's all machines doing this and people monitoring it. So again, we in one factory can produce north of 900 boats a year. And what's beautiful about it too is that it is an assembly line production, which also a blueprint, which means that when also the demand comes, we can set up the same exact factory somewhere else with a trained staff to train the local staff to do the job. And the machinery that we use is all purchase stock from what we learned from the car industry. And the woman that is actually running our factory, she has worked in Scania trucks for many years. So all the principles we have built on truck assembly line production. Okay. And a fun fact, I guess, or something we're very proud of, is that over 35% of the women, people in the factory are now women working there because of how the plant is 100% sustainable, and also with the machinery. So it's not about that you need to be big and strong, but it's about people that can actually do this the best. Also, with the knowledge of the 4 years in all these regions, means that now big companies like Bosch, the German company, is coming in, and what they're seeing as a secret sauce, to use your words, Nathan, is that it's the 4 years. Because no one has built drivetrains for these electrical boats for 4 years like we have done. Assembled them, tested them, but also the secret sauce, if I'm going to get to it, is the software code. And what is it with the software code that is interesting? What's interesting is that we can change all the components in our boats without rewriting code. And at the same time with Tesla, that means that all the software on the boat can be updated over the air. So that means that when you need to have a service on your product, Nathan, you will get that service over the air instead. And if you were to stand there on Saturday morning with your family and wanted to go and the boat didn't work, you have a service phone that you can call. It will be someone that can look at your boat while you're there live, and will also walk you through what you do.
Awesome. That sounds pretty cool. I'm looking at the website. The designs are beautiful. I love the one with the cabin. So these are in production. Can I get one today, or am I pre-ordering for a future date? What's the status of the delivery?
Yeah, so the factory is fully up and running and functional, and you can get a boat today. But the way we like to do it with our customers is that you put in an order, pay down 10%. When it goes into production, you pay another 30%, and then when we deliver the boat, you pay the full amount. And in reality, if you do the maths, if we do 900 boats a year, which we are not doing today, on 3 shifts, we are producing a lot of boats each day.
And what's the most challenging part about this? Because I imagine there's all kinds of issues with, do marinas have charging infrastructure? Do you have to have the infrastructure in place before you can start selling boats? Do the boats come first? Kind of that chicken and the egg problem. What's been the most challenging part of just getting this sort of business off the ground?
Yeah, I will say the biggest thing, I will back up a little bit. The biggest thing is that you need to rethink the whole category to come in and offer something completely new, just like Tesla did. So that was to build a 15,000 square meter factory with all the most modern technology in it, and look at producing boats 100% sustainably on an assembly line to get the scale benefit when you get up. That was the beginning. And then diving into the infrastructure, as you point out, Nathan, that is, I worked a little bit in the car industry as far as with infrastructure before, and that was a lot more challenging because they really trailblazed the way into the electric and changing the behavior of people of daring to go from a combustion to an electrical product. And they also then needed to build infrastructure all over the place, from people's homes to in the middle of nowhere, which we know can be extremely complex, but also extremely expensive. The difference that you probably also are familiar with is that in the marine space and marinas, most marinas already have electricity because sailboats need to be on, or bigger motorboats needs to have it as well. And these boats can be actually charged that way. That means, let's say, Nathan, if you were to go out 9 in the morning and you come home at 4 or 5 or 6, whatever you do, and you come back the next day, the boat is charged again. But what we have seen is that now that it is so many infrastructure players in the market, like Aqua Superpowers and others, we see that they have already created a business for the car industry. Setting it up in the marine space now is so much easier. So they're coming to us and say, okay, if you, Rene, sell an Xshore to Nathan, let's offer him, or the marina that he is at, to set up a supercharger that can be used both for their car, it can be used for a boat. And they are also setting up schemes right now where you say you pay $500 for a year, and then that's your charging cost for it. And what we also see is that when the behavior and understanding of what it means to own an electrical car and the reduction of cost that comes with it and with the maintenance and so on, people see that driving electrical boat to go out with the kids to buy ice cream or go out for cocktails is significantly cheaper. Same thing with winterization, because you don't need to do the same thing. And at the same time, you don't need to do all the oil service after 200 hours each time. You put a little bit of glycol on it, and there you go. And what we see now also in Europe, Nathan, is that to balance out the grid, a lot of electricity providers now are offering up the car owners and also electrical boat owners to be a part of the grid. And what's interesting, maybe not in San Francisco, but at least the places where you need to winterize it, that means that instead of paying for winterization, you're making money while you're winterizing your boat. So it's a lot of things that's coming in place. And then also we see now that legislation is happening really, really quick. And we see it, for example, as you pointed out, Nathan, in the Norwegian fjords. So in the Norwegian fjords right now, it's become such a big problem with big cruise ship coming in that they are saying that from 26, you need to park on the outside. Someone else needs to take you in. And there you see the boat that you're looking at on our website. That will be an ideal boat for doing that. Then you see also famous lakes like Lake Como, Lake Garda. If you want to buy a new combustion boat, you're not allowed to. You can keep your old one, but you have to buy electric, or you need to do it in sailboats. And you see that in Austria on lakes, you see it in Spain, you see it in Germany, you see it even in Turkey. So it's happening quicker. And then also in the US, we see very much a lot of the blue states are adapting electricity faster on cars as well. And then we see also fantastic electrical plane companies like Beta out in Vermont as well that is transforming the skies as well to go electric, which means that we see this is really happening. And we see also the Inflation Reduction Act really supporting it. And also we saw now, I don't know if you saw it, but we also were given the prize in Europe as a blue champion. And what that means is that the European Investment Bank picked 20 companies a year that is a part of the blue deal, not the green deal, to make sure that we are transforming the marine space to decarbonize it, which means also that comes with significant investment in us as well, because they see that we are part of the future and not the legacy technology.
Yeah, cool. Well, let's jump into financing, because I think that's, the point of the show, and let's get into that. So how did you guys get off the ground? It's not cheap to build a hardware company, much less a boat company. So how did you originally finance or fund this business?
Yeah, the company was actually founded in 2016. And it was in the shelf, I guess, with the founder all the way back to 2014. But in 2016, the founder saw that Tesla came to the market, and he saw that, okay, now the technology is going to come. Now we can really also reframe the category on the water and the leisure boating and also the professional market. So they kickstart the company at that time. And what was interesting with the timing around 2020 and that period was that clean tech, technology, sustainability was very big. And I think that also the world forget how many billionaires it is in Sweden, actually. When I say billionaires, that's $100 million people in town. So literally the company has so far raised $100 million US. And recently we secured another 9 to 10 million US dollars as well. And all of them are primarily private individuals, but also we have larger investors like SEB. SEB is one of the largest banks here in Sweden. And then we also have the founder. And then we have very interesting entrepreneurs as owners as well, like Peter Carlsson. You probably know him. He is the founder of Northvolt, one of the biggest battery producers out there. We have Conrad Bergström that created Marshall headphones, which is quite a big brand. And we see a lot of people that are big personalities that own companies or are owning companies that has invested. And then we have a lot of friends and family that did it. So that's how we have done it so far. So we decided that we will focus on raising money in Sweden. And that's how we've done it so far.
Okay, let's get into that a little bit. So these are all kind of high-profile entrepreneurs, wealthy Swedish folks from a variety of industries, it sounds like. How did you, let's take it really almost at the grassroots level. How did you guys get out there in front of how many individual investors? 100 more?
We have more than that. I think we have almost a world record of how many people that really invested, and it was really a movement that happened because the founder himself, which also did Marshall headphones and owns also that owned that in the beginning. He's a personality as well, which is very helpful when you are going to attract attention. And then we have a very strong story. People need to really connect with why are you doing this, and what are you doing? How are you going to do it? And how will this be a part of changing something? And we did that job really well, and we have stayed true to that. And what I have experienced as a newer CEO, Nathan, is that yes, we haven't delivered always on the results, but it's the same thing with my partner as well. I don't always deliver exactly what's expected, but if you have an honest dialogue and a close dialogue with people and explaining why you're taking certain decisions, why certain things happen. Most people that are in this game, they know that life is not linear. They know that the macroeconomic situation will change at times. And sometimes you can get hundreds of millions on a PowerPoint presentation because the time is right. And certain times you have everything for you and wind in the back, but you can't get the money. But we are very consistent with the story of where we're starting and what we believe in, what our purpose is, and what we're here to do, and where we are going. And we have also done a lot of research along the way and stayed very close with our investors. That's one of the things that I also really drive home in my conversation with investors. If you want to be a passive investor, fine. But what we really want, it is strategic and close workings investors, because if you are transforming a category, it is not just throwing money on the table and walking away from it, hoping that it's just going to be a linear growth to it. You need to really understand the ups and downs along the way for you to have the grit and stamina to see it through, because it is a journey.
Yeah. But I want to talk about how you kind of activate and leverage these investors, but I want to go back to just how did you get in front of that many investors? Was it purely just the founders' Rolodex or network or kind of fame in the industry that got you in the door? What?
No, I'm glad that you're digging a little bit deeper on that, Nathan. No, what we did is we also worked with two of the best banks in Norway and in Sweden to also utilize their private wealth network. So that was really good. And then, of course, we had also very good support with lawyers. So you need to have the infrastructure in place. But then to your point earlier as well, it's like the founder will go with you to certain places, but as a CEO and the CFO, we met with everyone. And if you look at the hours of the day and you look at how many days of the week and days of the month it is, that meant literally that I sat in meeting from 6 a.m. to 9 o'clock at night every day. And then you try to squeeze in emails and other things in between. Yeah. But that's what it takes, because ultimately people, yes, they invest in, as you know, a purpose and an ID, and a business case, but ultimately it is about the people that are in front of it and driving it every day that you're also investing in. So for me, as also a new CEO, I needed to meet everyone and look them in the eyes and have this conversation. And what was great about it was that when we did this last financing round right now, all of the investors that we had in the past, even though the microclimate is the way it is right now, it was very tough. Everyone took their pro rata or invested more of everyone we met. And what we also were able to establish is that personal relationship with people, so that I see now more and more people are investing time in our business. We have a much more regular conversation. A lot of our investors also is buying our boats, and actually a lot of them are ambassadors. I have an ambassador and an investor and an ambassador and a customer, same person in Malmö, Sweden, that travels between Malmö and Köpenhamn, and he showcases our boats for people that wants to buy the boats. They don't know that they're standing next to a guy that is 500 million in the bank. He just loved the product, he said. Yeah. And he's kind of like when the Tesla came out, the first Tesla S, everyone at work came and tried it. It's like, because it was a completely new experience. And we see that right now too with these boats, is that when you roll into the marina with a boat that says 100% electric, everyone will talk to you, even the people that wants to say something negative. And you have that solar panel effect where you have one boat in the marina, next year you sell 2 and 3. And that's exactly what we see right now. And now we finally have gotten the production, the technology, and we're starting out also get our sales network going. And I think that's what people are seeing. They're seeing that we've gone through the gates. We have failed at certain times, but we are in dialogue with them. They know what we're doing. We're checking in with our investor along the way, and they see we have built a relationship that we're playing the infinite game. We are here, and we're going to get through to the other side. And now we're starting to see the sales happening. And as Arthur Doolittle also explained in their research about the market, is that it's going to be 4 million leisure boats in the world in the category we are in. 12,000 of them are going to be electrical boats by 2027, which is coming really quick. And that means that we are the only one who can produce and really deliver towards that demand. We couldn't even deliver on all of it ourselves, which means that the blueprint ID that we have on production is really important, because that means we can scale up fast. And right now we have 40% market share of a very small market.
That's huge. Is the 60% divided, is that another big player, or is that divided amongst a bunch of smaller competitors?
I will say that right now it's a lot of smaller competitors out there, and it's a lot of people that are maybe not making performance boats. There are more boats that goes 8 knots and stuff like that. Our boats can go 0 to 30 in 4.4 seconds. So you need to hold on to your hat when we get going if you want to. And what's excited about these boats too is that the utilitarian way of using this boat, they are really an SUV on the water, and that's also what we see too. And we have in a couple of months we will also announce a very interesting partnership with one of the most interesting car brands in the world as well, because they feel that we are a natural extension of what they do with their cars, and they want to have an active lifestyle product on the water, which again would also help us tremendously as we gain more awareness and also credibility for our technology.
Yeah. Okay, I'll let you go soon, but 2 or 3 more questions. One is, so you've raised mostly from wealthy individuals so far to build a boat company, which is pretty amazing.
But also down to moms and pops.
Did you actually do a crowdfunding campaign like on a Kickstarter or Indiegogo or something like that? Or
we invited friends and family to say, hey, we're going to do this round and we're going to create this company. Anyone that wants to invest can come in now. And that's the reason why I think we now have around 400 or 500 investors.
Wow, that's a lot. But that's great. Like
it's a lot.
Ambassadors, right?
Yeah.
Well, where I was going with this, but to really truly scale this up, I mean, I don't know how much Tesla's raised over its history, but it's massive, amounts. Like, to really scale this up, do you continue to go to individuals, or do you kind of have to next move on to venture or private equity? Where are you kind of thinking the rest of the money comes from, or what?
Yeah, so the thinking was for us right now, just to go through our business plan, is that we have been on a road where we have done a lot of fantastic things. We have learned a lot of things. We have developed technology. design and a sustainable product than no one else. And what we have said to our investors this year is that this year we're going to deliver exactly what we have promised. And we're going to start building trust in that. And then from 2026, we will be profitable as a company. And from there, we will then work from now and to 26 to find 2-3 bigger strategic partners. People that want companies or private equity that believes in the transformation and see that they can help us scale the business also in the US much faster. Because as we see right now with some of the biggest universities wanting to buy these boats already, and also the biggest harbor group in the US with 55,000 boat members, we see that this can go very, very quick. And to your point, Nathan, to scale this, we need 2 or 3 more anchor investors that wants to come in and push through to help us to scale to the level we need to be. Because we need to build another factory in the US. We are in discussions already with government and states in the US, just so everything is prepared to break ground when we are ready. So we are not here to sell 200 boats. We are here to get to 12,000 boats. And anyone that believes that boating should be one with nature and that it will go electric, if I was them, I would come to us and knock on our door, and we will get there together.
Yeah, very cool. All right, last question, because I want to let you go. You've got boats to build, but what advice do you give? When I talk to like Swedish and Norwegian entrepreneurs, they often complain about how hard it is to raise capital because most investors want to. There's not a lot of like risk capital. They want to see a business that's already established and has revenue and profits before people seem to. So the question is, what advice do you have for Norwegian or Swedish entrepreneurs? Maybe getting their business off the ground and hoping to go raise money. Anything?
Yeah, I think that you need to take a look in the mirror, not once, but 100 times to ask yourself, do you have determination, grit, passion, stamina to do this? And do the people that stand next to you, in front of you, to the right of you, behind you, are that the team that's going to be there, because it's going to be turbulent and it's going to be tougher than you ever experienced in your entire life. So you really, really need to believe in that purpose and that business plan so that you can really take it. One of the things that I always tell my team and the people I hire is that fundraising, and particularly in this climate, is to go against Mike Tyson at his prime time for 3 to 4 to 6 months, every day for hours. It's painful, but rewarding when you win. Very rewarding. And also to quote Altman on ChatGPT, I also use this, it's also being a CEO in fundraising, and it's kind of like standing in sewer 24/7. And eating glass at the same time. And the reason why sewer is because you really need to dig through all the stuff that is not great, and everything is coming at you all the time. So if you don't wake up in the morning and you're motivated by building the best team and making that team work excellently and dealing with the fact that you never get to really deal with what you want to deal with, that's where the glass part comes in, because you're not standing only in the sewer. You're also eating glass because you never get to what you need to do before later. And also is that what I love also about the fundraising process, as I mentioned to you, which people should never forget when they look back at it, is that it is so much fun, because you build the team, you see who's going to be there tomorrow, and you build an extremely tight relationship, at least we did, with the investors, where you feel that you're bonding because they're investing in you and you're investing in them. And when you also are able to plant that seed into the company, so people understand that the reason why we can bring this purpose and this business to life is because of these people are believing in what we do, and we have a responsibility to deliver for them. It's changing the game. It becomes like sports where you're there for the fans. You're there to deliver for them. And if you do that, then it's also much more fun for everyone. So that's what I'm doing right now, and and also being a CEO of a scale up and a startup, it's going to be fundraising for the next 5 years. So just strap in and get used to it. Either you love that and you're willing to take the pain it takes because you believe so hard in that. This is not like I've done before, run companies with 30,000 people, all the processes in place, good people is in place. When you need help, you look to the right and 4 people standing there waiting for you, or you can hire a consulting company because you have the money. That doesn't exist.
Yeah, right. Well, it certainly helps that you guys are building something cool and good for the world, right? I mean, that's got to help with all of that. It's got to help alleviate when you're eating the glass that you're also doing something really cool, you know?
Yeah, but I can tell you also, Nathan, to also the same thing. It's like when I took the job, I sat down with my children and my wife, and we spoke about what's going to happen. And even though I don't see my family as much as I want, and my wife and my friends, they also say, we've never seen you more happy and alive.
Mm.
And that's the reason why. Because, you know, even though in a sports team, you don't win all the time. But standing shoulder to shoulder with someone, and also with the coaches and all of that, and winning and making it see that you're moving in the right direction, it's the drive. So I feel like I always wake up a little late in a good way, and always go to bed a little too early in a good way.
Yeah, awesome. They're beautiful boats. So if people want to learn more, it's xshore.com, and they can even design and order these boats. Anything else you want to promote or plug while I have you here?
Yeah, I will say that one thing that also is important, aside from all the good stuff that Nathan and me also talked about, is that Xshore is the first company in the world that have made electrical performance boats 100% sustainable at price parity with combustion boats. So now there's no excuse anymore. And these boats won the best motorboat award and the best boat award this year. So my advice is go and test drive them. We have a full calendar of sea trials on our website. Please visit, but also go on the website and order a test drive. You don't need to buy it, but you know, check off that bucket list and get it on Xshore. It's going to be worth your time.
This would be fun. I like the sea trial link here, xshore.com/US/sea-trials, but people can find that on the website. This is really interesting. I wish you guys the best as a boater. You know, I'd certainly love to see more electric boats. And you know, in the sailing world, there's kind of this progression, right? You get a sailboat, and then when you get too old for the sailboat, you get a catamaran. Then when you're too old for the catamaran, you get a power boat. So you know, I'm still a little too young to get there yet, but eventually I can see myself in a cool Xshore. I really like the pro one with the cabin. So,
and Nathan, now you have a good friend in Stockholm that will help you out. So anytime, and also if you're here, come and visit us at our factory. It's the only fully sustainable factory, blueprint assembly line factory. Is absolutely worth coming and seeing. I bet that's
a super cool experience. So I may take you up on that. We went to Norway a couple of years ago. I haven't been to Sweden yet. So. All right, Rene, thank you very much. This is really cool. Xshore.com. Check it out. Put in your pre-order now, and we'll catch you after your next big fundraising and see how things are playing out for you guys, okay?
Thank you so much, Nathan. Have a great day.
You too. Over now.